everyone, this is K. Devendra Reddy, Assistant Professor in Department of Electrical Engineering. In this video, we are going to discuss about two reaction theory, that is Blondel's two reaction theory for a synchronous mission. So, theory of salient pole mission, that is called as a Blondel's two reaction theory. Professor Andrew Blondel proposed a theory for a salient pole synchronous mission. That is why the theory name itself called Professor Blondel's two reaction theory, that is called the theory of salient pole mission. We know the alternator have two different type of the rotor structures. One is salient pole type, another one is non-salient pole type. That is, we can also call as projecting pole rotor and cylindrical rotor or wound rotor type synchronous generators. And we know in a non-salient pole alternator, air gap is uniform. In non-salient pole alternators, we know the air gap is uniform. So because of uniform air gap, the flux distributed in the air gap also uniform and it is very sinusoidally. And air gap length is constant. That is the length between your stator as well as the rotor is constant. Means it is uniform and it is constant because the non-saliency, that is called as all the poles are not projected, means poles are not projected. It is a wound rotor type structure. So the air gap is uniform and flux produced by the field winding, it is uniformly distributed and it is very sinusoidal, and the reluctance is constant throughout the armature. Throughout the air gap, reluctance offered by the air gap is also constant, and the air gap length is constant and reactance also constant, and field MMF and armature MMF act upon the same magnetic circuit can be added vectorically. And this is all about the non-salient pole rotor type alternator, where the projecting poles are not present, and uniform flux distribution and uniform air gap will gives you some sort of advantages over over salient pole alternator. Similarly, we'll look into some briefing of what actually the salient pole rotor. The salient pole rotor is nothing but a projecting pole rotor where the air gap is not uniform because of the saliency or because of the projection of the poles towards the stator. The air gap is not uniform. So because of the not uniform air gap, and air gap length is also be not uniform because in the across the pole phase, the air gap between the stator and rotor is minimum, and in quadrature to the pole phase, that is in the interpolar region, air gap is maximum. So similarly, reluctance also not constant. Reluctance is minimum across the pole phases and reluctance is maximum in the interpolar region. And flux, field flux and armature flux cannot be very sinusoidally, and their MMF acts are in different way. They are not vectorically added in the salient pole structure because of the non-uniform air gap. The air gap flux is also non-sinusoidal. It is not very much sinusoidal, and the reluctance is also different. That is, across the pole phases, reluctance is minimum, and in the interpolar region, the reluctance is maximum. That is why we have to analyze the synchronous machine according to the Blondel's two reaction theory, that is called the theory of salient pole machine or two reaction theory, to analyze all the quantities along the direct axis, that is we can also call as a pole axis, and the interpolar axis we can call as a q axis called a quadrature axis. So according to this theory, armature MMF can be divided into two components: the MMF acting along the direct axis called the pole axis, and MMF acting at a right angle to the pole axis called the quadrature axis, that is IQ. Similarly, components, your direct current, that is a component acting along the direct axis, ID can be of magnetizing or a demagnetizing, and component acting along the quadrature axis, IQ is cross magnetization. So here the total armature MMF can be divided into two, that is one along the direct axis, another one is along the interpolar axis, that is called the quadrature axis, that is in quadrature or at right angle to the direct axis. Similarly, the direct axis components are maybe of magnetization component or a demagnetization component, and quadrature axis component is cross magnetization component. So here we know the reluctance offered to the MMF is lowest when it is aligned with field pole axis, that is called a direct axis. So reluctance offered along the D axis is minimum and reluctance offered along the Q axis is maximum. So the reluctance offered to the MMF is highest when it is 90 degrees to the field pole axis, that is called Q axis. Let FF be the MMF wave produced by field winding, then it always act along the direct axis. MMF is responsible for producing an excitation EMF. This MMF is responsible for producing an excitation EMF, that is EF, which lags the FF by or 90 degree. When armature carries a current, it produces its own MMF wave, that is called FAR. There are two MMFs. One is a field MMF, the MMF produced by the field winding, and the another one is the MMF produced by the armature, that is FF, that is a MMF produced by field, and MMF produced by armature, FAR. So this can be resolved into two components, one acting along the D axis, that is a direct axis or a pole axis, and another one will be acting along the Q axis called a quadrature axis. So FAR I am here split into, it is acting in the two axes along the direction of the direct axis and quadrature axis. So I am naming as FD and FQ, the component along direct axis and the component along quadrature axis. Similarly, the armature current also will be along the D axis and along the Q axis, which is ID. Armature current is along the direct axis, that is ID, and armature current along the Q axis, that is quadrature axis, called as IQ. The instant chosen to show these positions is such that the current in the phase R is maximum positive and is lagging EF by an angle called psi. So here in the picture I am showing, this is the direct axis or D axis along the pole phases, and the field MMF will be FF, and this is a quadrature axis, Q axis, which is a field MMF FAR, and this is FD along with the D axis and FQ along with the Q axis. So here FD field MMF, the MMF along the D axis is produced by direct axis component current ID, which is at 90 degree to the excitation EMF, while FQ MMF produced by Q axis component current IQ, which is in phase with the excitation EMF, that is EF. The flux components of phi AR, which is the vector addition of phi D as well as the phi Q respectively. So let us draw the vector diagram first. So this is a vertical axis I am naming as a D axis, and a horizontal axis I am naming as Q axis, and direct pole axis, the field MMF due to field winding is along with the direct axis. This is I am represented, and MMF due to quadrature axis, that is the vector combination of FQ along with the Q axis and MMF along with the D axis. So along with the Q axis will be FQ, it is FD. These vector combination will gives you the field MMF FAR due to the armature. The field MMF due to the armature is vectorically along the D axis and along the Q axis, that is FAR, field MMF due to armature current. Next, which is lagging the excitation EMF by an angle called psi. And we also know the flux developed by armature winding also acting along the D axis and the Q axis, that is phi Q and phi D respectively, and vector combination of these two will gives you phi AR, the field flux produced by armature along the D axis and along the Q axis. And similarly, the armature current also into along the D axis and acting along the Q axis, that is IQ as well as the ID, and vector addition of these two will gives you the armature current of the alternator. Let us look into the how we will find out the direct and quadrature axis reactances and the excitation EMF required. We know that the armature reaction flux phi r has two components, that is phi d along with the d axis and pi q along with the quadrature axis. These fluxes are proportional to the respective MMFs, magnitudes, and the permeance of the flux path oriented along the respective axis. So the flux produced by these fluxes are responsible and these fluxes are proportional to the respective MMF magnitudes, and also it is depending upon the permeance of the flux path along the particular axis. That is, phi d flux along with the direct axis, it is depending on the magnitude of MMF as well as the permeance. So magnitude of MMF is Fd and the permeance I am represented with a Pd. So Pd is the permeance along the direct axis. Similarly, you can also write the expression for quadrature axis, that is phi q, pi q. So before writing the pi q expression for pi q, permeance is the reciprocal of reluctance. We know the permeance is nothing but permitting ability of a medium. The it is quite opposite to the reluctance, and it is and indicates ease of it indicates the ease of flux can travel along that path. So FD flux, MMF along with the D axis is equal to KR into ID, that is in phase with ID, and the MMF is always proportional to the current, while KR is the armature reaction coefficient. Here KAR is the armature reaction coefficient. So FD equal to the armature reaction coefficient into direct axis component current ID. So we can write phi D along with the D axis is equal to, you can replace FD by KAR and ID. So it is PD permeance into armature reaction coefficient into direct axis component current. This is flux along with the D axis. Similarly, you can write the flux along with the Q axis, that is PQ into KAR IQ, that is the flux produced or flux acting along the Q axis. And we know the reluctance along the direct axis, that is along the pole axis, is very less compared to the quadrature axis. Similarly, the permeance is also along the d axis is more than the along the quadrature axis. That is why PD is always greater than PQ. The permeance along the direct axis is more than the permeance along the Q axis, because of the reluctance offered along the direct axis is very minimum compared to the reluctance offered along with the Q axis called the quadrature axis. Let us assume the direct axis and quadrature axis induced EMFs respectively ED and EQ, and due to the fluxes phi D and phi Q. Now the induced EMF along the direct axis, which is acting along the direct axis, ED lags phi D flux along the direct axis component by 90 degree, while EQ lags phi Q by 90 degree. So write down the expression for ED, which is equal to KE into pi D at an angle of minus 90 degree, and similarly EQ is equal to KE into pi Q at an angle of minus 90 degree, where Ke is the EMF constant of armature winding. The resultant EMF is the phasor sum of EF, ED and EQ. The resultant induced EMF is the phasor sum of excitation EMF, direct axis component as well as the quadrature axis induced EMFs. So ER is equal to EF plus ED plus EQ, and we know ED is equal to minus J times of Ke into pi D, and EQ is equal to minus J times of Ke into pi Q. Substitute here and you will get resultant induced EMF is equal to EF minus J Ke phi d minus j Ke pi q. Substituting the expression for pi q and pi d, you will get the values of pi q and pi d in the previous slide we have. Let us assuming as equation number 1, let us assuming as equation number 2, phi d is equal to permeance into armature reaction coefficient into direct axis component. Similarly, pi q, substitute those values in the resultant induced EMF expression, that is ER is equal to EF minus J into, this is Ke pi d KAR into ID. PD, permeance into armature reaction coefficient into ID, represents the phi d, and permeance along the quadrature axis and armature reaction coefficient along with the it is constant IQ, it is phi q, where you can also write XARD, that is equivalent reactance corresponding to the D axis component of armature reaction, which is equal to Ke PD KAR, where XARQ is the equivalent reactance. So you can write it as equivalent reactance as well as along with the direct axis and along with the quadrature axis. So write down Ke PQ KAR, resultant induced EMF equal to excitation EMF minus J times of, this is XARD totally into ID, where XARD is nothing but the equivalent reactance corresponding to the D axis component of armature reaction. Similarly, XARQ is the equivalent reactance corresponding to the Q axis component of armature reaction. And similarly, we know the armature current is along the direct axis as well as the quadrature axis, ID plus IQ. So you can write it as VT plus IARA plus XLID plus XLIQ, where XL represents the leakage reactance. Substituting in the expression ER, these values will be substituted in the expression resultant induced EMF. We will get the EF is nothing but VT plus IARA plus XLID, that is equal to resultant induced EMF. ER is equal to VT plus IARA plus XLID plus XLIQ. Let us name it as equation number 3 and equation number 4, and equate these two equations. You will get ER of equation number 4 and equation number 3, and write down the expression for excitation EMF, which is equal to VT plus IARA plus J times of XL plus XARD into ID plus J times of plus XL plus XARQ into IQ. Now the EF, this is expression number 5. Excitation EMF is equal to VT plus terminal voltage plus IARA plus J times of ID XT plus J times of IQ XQ. This is equation number 5, the excitation induced EMF for the alternator. So let us looking into the two reaction theory phasor diagram from the equation number 5. So from the last equation number 5, so draw the phasor diagram according to this equation number 5. EF is equal to VT plus IARA plus J into drop due to direct axis component reactance XT into ID, and a drop due to quadrature axis component XQ into IQ. And this is a vector diagram we have by unknown voltage, that is excitation EMF EF. First of all, draw IQ and XQ, IQ and ID, direct axis component current as well as the quadrature axis component current. The vector combination of these two will gives you armature current IA, and terminal voltage VT lags the IA by phi angle. It is always the lagging load. I am assuming it is a lagging load power factor condition. So terminal voltage will be OG, is a terminal voltage which lags the armature current by a phase angle phi, and it is also Next draw IARA drop due to armature resistance. From the G, draw a line parallel to parallel to armature current IA, that is GA. GA represents IARA drop due to winding resistance. That line must be along with the armature current. That is why I am drawing a parallel line which represents both the axes are in phase vectors. And from the A point, from the point A, draw a draw a from the point A, draw a line that represents the drop due to direct axis reactance quantity, which must be perpendicular to ID, the current armature current along with the D axis. And similarly, draw a line from the point E, that is along the perpendicular to the Q axis, that is IQ into XQ, which is dropped due to reactance along with the quadrature axis component. Now vector addition of, from the equation number 5, vector addition of VT plus IARA drop due to winding resistance plus drop due to direct axis component reactance plus drop due to quadrature axis reactance. This must be equal to excitation EMF EF. So that is why OF represents the EF, which is equal to VT plus IARA plus JIDXT plus JIQXQ. Now, this is a point from G, draw a dotted line towards the OF, and similarly from A, draw a dotted line towards the OF. This represents the IARA drop. Similarly, from the point B, draw a dotted line which is towards the A. This point from here to here, which represents the drop due to along with the direct axis component, and point H to A, G to H represents the drop due to winding resistance along with the direct axis. HA represents the drop due to along with the quadrature axis, and this will be IARA, that is this will be IQRA, and this will be IARA. This is your quadrature axis component winding resistance drop and direct axis winding resistance drop. And similarly, from A, draw a dotted line towards the OF, which has to be intersected at point C, and from that C, draw a line towards the direct axis reactance component drop, that is AE, which is an angle of phi, psi. This dotted line represents the IQXQ drop. So from the phasor diagram, ID is equal to IA sin psi, IQ is equal to IA cos psi. So from this, cos psi is equal to IQ by IA, cos psi is equal to IQ by IA, and sin psi is equal to ID by IA. The drop IARA also have the two components that is mentioned in the phasor diagram along with the direct axis as well as along with the quadrature axis. And similarly, drop due to winding reactance also having the two components along with the direct axis as well as the quadrature axis. So in the phasor diagram, the OF represents the excitation EMF EF, and OG represents the VT terminal voltage. GH represents the drop due to winding resistance along with the direct axis. HA represents the drop due to winding resistance along with the Q axis, and GA represents the winding resistance drop, and AE drop due to direct axis reactance, and EF drop due to quadrature axis reactance. Now DAC is drawn perpendicular to the current phasor and IA, and CB is drawn perpendicular to AE. In the previous slide that we showed, DAC, this one, DAC is drawn perpendicular to current vector. DAC is drawn a perpendicular line for current vector which intersect your OF at point C, and from the C drop a line towards the AE that intersect your AE at point B. From triangle ABC is a right angle triangle. So from the triangle cos psi is equal to BC by AC. So BC anyway it is IQXQ and AC we need to find out, and cos psi we know that is IQ by IA. So substitute in the above expression, we'll get IQ by IA is equal to IQXQ by AC. From this, AC is equal to IAXQ. AC is equal to IA into XQ, where IQ and IQs get cancelled, and AC is equal to IA times of XQ. The point C can be located, so hence the direction of EMF, that is excitation EMF, is also known. Now the triangle ODC is also right angle triangle. Tan psi is equal to CD by OD. OD is equal to OI plus ID. OI is nothing but VT cos pi. ID is nothing but drop due to winding resistance. CD is equal to AC plus AD. Drop due to armature reaction, drop due to quadrature axis reactance plus VT sin phi. So from this you can write down tan psi is equal to CD, that is VT sin phi plus IAXQ by VT cos phi plus IARA. As IAXQ known, the angle psi can be calculated from the above equation. As phi is known, we can write del is equal to psi minus phi for lagging power factor loading conditions. Hence, EF is equal to VT cos del plus IARA plus IDXT. Hence, the magnitude of EF can be obtained by using this equation number 6. Magnitude of excitation EMF can be obtained, that is equal to VT cos del plus IARA plus IDXT. When you know the IAXQ value and when you know the psi value, then you can calculate del, that is psi minus phi for lagging power factor loading conditions. So this is all about the Blondel's two reaction theory, that is the theory of silent pole emission. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.